Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm here with Adam Lawrenson. He is a real estate appraiser and owner at Adlaw Appraisals. Adam, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thanks
We
for having me.
are chatting all things BC assessments, hot topic in the media today. I've seen a lot of people post about, go online, check your BC assessment value, check out what your neighbor's house is worth, or, the popular one, Chip Wilson's on that Golden Mile. But I wanted to bring you on to speak to the fact that this cannot be relied upon to determine, or in most cases, as a barometer or not a barometer for what your actual current market value is of your home. So I just got an email from you this morning and it spoke directly to this. Now, you worked at BC Assessment, so you've seen how these assessments are brought together, determined, and of course that they are basically 6 months retroactive value. So can you speak to maybe a little bit about how these values are brought forward and why there is a 6-month delay in presenting them as a current value to people?
Yeah, sure, Katy. So a great topic, very timely right now. Everyone's got their assessments coming in the mail. And as you alluded to, I did work for BC Assessment for 2 years. I did all the assessments for the North Burnaby region. And I can tell you, I'm fairly confident when it came to creating these assessments, and they are not an accurate reflection of the market value of your home. So I can go into a little bit of detail there. It's done on a mass appraisal technique, which is using some exterior photos, aerial maps, GIS and stuff. But what it takes into account is some very generalized knowledge of the property. So the lot size, the age of the house, sometimes the quality of the structure from the outside, and some location factors if it's on a busy street or any of that sort of thing. The main issue with the assessments and why they're not an accurate reflection of market value is because, one, they're already 6 months dated by the time you get them. So they're based on a July 1st, 2022 valuation date. And no physical appraiser or even an inspector has been to the property, let alone to the inside of the property, to see what type of renovations, what type of maintenance has been done to the home, and what the overall kind of marketing ability that home has. I mean, some homes, you walk inside, the floor plan's gorgeous, everything's done well, sells for a premium. And other homes, are poorly maintained and they'll sell for a discount. So because nobody has actually been to these properties, there's no way to put an accurate valuation on it. And the BC Assessment mandate is simply to give a ballpark valuation of these properties so they can distribute the tax base effectively amongst the citizens. That's their only mandate. And if they can do that, get the $2 million houses kind of into a zone, and the $1 million houses into a zone, and the $500,000 apartments into a zone, as long as they can get it generally there, they've won, and that's their only job. But if anyone was to rely on that for any decision making, for example, mortgage financing, change of use, if they need a tax appraisal, separation or divorce, that sort of thing, it's not to be relied on, because it can either be high or it can either be low. There's no rhyme or reason for it, and it takes an actual full appraisal inspection, interior, exterior, where the appraiser looks at all the details that make up the value of real estate and analyze them quite closely, look at comparable sales, and really dig into that specific property. That's what will give you a more accurate valuation of your property.
So I'm glad you said that it is for taxation purposes. It's so widely talked about as your actual market value, but it's so confusing to clients. So as you've noted, you do need a full appraisal to accurately confirm the current market value of the home for mortgage financing, separation, change of use, all of those things. So why do they present it? Why does BC Assessment present it like this? Like, why do we have to come and sort of counter this big, woohoo, here's your BC Assessment value for the year. It's great that I can present you and your business and say, no, if you want an accurate value, work through us or contact Adlaw directly. But why is it such a big thing? Why is there a disconnect between the knowledge that the BC Assessment is just for tax purposes and an appraisal, current market valuation where somebody walks through your property, like why is there this disconnect of that information or knowledge on how to determine property value?
Well, the main reason is because the valuation that they provide is communicated as market value. It should be labeled or described as an assessed value. Therefore, you understand it's under the guise of an assessment versus an actual market value appraisal. And again, to add to that confusion is that legislatively they have to provide a market value of properties. It's not based on a purchase price. Like in California, for example, the taxes are based on the most recent sale of the property. So if you bought your bungalow down on Santa Monica Beach for $100,000 in the 60s, you're still taxed on that $100,000. Where in BC, we are updating the values of every property, 4 million plus properties in BC every single year. And their mandate is to provide market value, but they can only do so much with limited resources. And if you look at the statistics, like when I worked there, you'd have your 30 sales of properties that you would have to actually kind of analyze. We could only look at the sales because that's the only data we had. You would have to make sure that the bell curve would have the average at about 97% of the value or the assessment would have to be 97% of the value. So statistically, they look it up and say, yeah, our valuations are accurate of market value, but it's only the small sample of sales that they can use. There's still, so many other properties that haven't sold where they're just kind of blanketing a little bit of data onto a whole variety of properties. And that blanketing process can be very, very, unfair, inaccurate. And that's why you come up with values that are high, low, etc. One good example that we can maybe finish up on is I did an appraisal today of a property. It sold for $3.6 million, and the assessment was only $2.2 million.
Wow.
So once BC Assessment gets that sale data, they will probably review that neighborhood and say, okay, we're way behind on values here, but that's how low it can be. It can be 50%, 60% of the value. It can also be 120, 130% of the value. There's no rhyme or reason.
Now, on average, what are you seeing properties decrease by as a result of recent rate hikes over the last year?
Okay, so we're going off the assessment tangent onto kind of real life stuff.
Real life, on average.
So I was just talking to my appraiser manager, and he said, it was a roller coaster of a ride for 2022. We shot out of a cannon in January, February, March, April. Rates started to rise, and it quickly took a toll on valuation. So from July, actually, we're seeing about a 0 to 15% decrease. So if, for example, your assessment was accurate, today's value is going to be anywhere from 0 to 15% lower than it was in July. Some areas that stick out are single-family dwellings in the Fraser Valley, some multifamily in the Fraser Valley. Apartments and townhomes have done a little bit better, but the detached market, the single-family dwellings in Surrey, Langley, Abbotsford, Chilliwack, they're all down 15 to 20% from the highs kind of in March, April, and down about 15% from the July 1st valuation date of the assessment.
So the best thing to do is to reach out to someone like you or a firm like yours, Adlaw Appraisals, to have a proper valuation done. And again, we've said it twice, but in the event of mortgage financing, you'd go through your broker. But change of use, general, just want to know what your property's worth, marital split, any other reasons that clients do come to you and order appraisals? Any other?
Yeah, you hit on all the major ones. So, for example, mortgage financing, they're going to want a designated appraiser to do it. If it's a change of use, if you're changing your primary residence into a rental property, the government typically wants a designated appraiser to do that. And of course, separation, divorce, it's very important to get a designated qualified appraiser, and the courts do require that. A realtor can give a CMA, comparative market analysis. It's pretty general in nature, and it does. Some of realtors can be absolutely bang on when it comes to value. The one thing that needs to be considered is an appraiser is unbiased in everything that they do. We don't have to go high or low or appease anybody. Our job really is to just provide the most reliable, reasonable value of your property, where sometimes a realtor might provide a high CMA in order to get the listing, which then they have to kind of decrease the price as the listing is on the market. But yeah, you can always trust a real estate appraiser to go and give you the exact kind of fair market value of your property without any hidden biases involved.
Awesome. So how do people reach you if not through your broker?
Yeah, you can go on our website, adlawappraisals.com, ADLAW appraisals.com, or give us a call at 604-809-8506.
Awesome. Well, I can vouch for you. I've known you, I think, about a decade almost now, but I use your team first and foremost. Service is second to none. So we appreciate you and your team and everything you do. And if anyone has any questions or any follow-up to watching today's video, please reach out to either myself or Adam. We're more than happy to assist. Thanks again, Adam.
Thanks, Katy.
Mm-hmm.